realize how these intuitions were indeed very wise. Because when I was a psychiatrist at the New Jersey Neuropsychiatric Institute near Princeton, I was really attracted by the New Jersey Bureau of Research in Neurology and Psychiatry, run by Dr. Humphrey Osmond and Dr. Carl Pfeiffer. And Dr. Osmond is a brilliant man, now pretty old, I guess it is, late 80s. But he coined the term psychedelic, and he was the man that administered mescaline to Aldous Huxley.
Right, I knew I recognized the name.
And while I was there, I gravitated to wanting to be able to have dialogues and talk with him and have this kind of interplay with his tremendous intellect. And so I took a job where I'd have this opportunity. And also, under the direction of his colleague, Dr. Carl Pfeiffer, had different psychedelic drugs administered to me. First, hashish oil in different oral doses, and monitored in a laboratory.
Was this a positive experience for you? Your experience?
Yes. However, one of the other experimental drugs was not a positive experience and lasted for 3 days, and made me wonder if I was ever going to be normal again.
Oh, really? What was that?
It caused this recurrent dissociative.
What was the drug, though?
Cyclazocine.
Cyclazocine.
It's a cousin of pentazocine, Talwin.
Oh, okay.
But something that was being looked at as an opiate antagonist, but tried it out on me and it was pretty far out. However, I recall one scene when I was in Dr. Pfeiffer's office. He showed me his safe in his office with all these drugs, all these illegal substances. I said, "Carl, don't you worry about this?" He said, "No." And the subject dropped. This was in the context of one of the patients where I was director of the drug addiction treatment program, slipped and shot up, and immediately was hauled off to state prison 5 miles down the road. Come to find out, my chief nurse was a snitch for the narcotics police. So it was in this context that if anything like that ever happened, I feared, how can you be so cavalier about this? 20 years later, I read a book that gave an account of contractors to the CIA, and a list of them with regard to doing human research on psychedelics. And lo and behold, there was Dr. Pfeiffer's name. So I said, So it was retrospectively a semi-witting subject for intelligence agency supported research. And then I realized that it would take just a phone call to Maryland, to the Edgewood Arsenal, where it was headquartered, and there'd be another call coming back to the cops in New Jersey saying, "Bug off, national security." So I didn't realize I was protected by these.
Some comment was made today, I think by Paul Armentano, that someone was trying to take your medical license away. Did I
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
47 different complaints from the medical board
Over what?
over medical marijuana recommendation and approvals.
Oh, really?
Starting in February 2000, there were a series of complaints by 11 North California counties, criminal justice entities, either.
You mean the idea kind of like that you're over-prescribing?
Yes.
You're a drug doc?
Well, being accused of being a mill doctor.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
And what happened with the complaints?
Well, they're still being processed. And I've had
I mean, did you receive a threatening letter from the board?
threatening letter, subpoenas, a whole bunch of subpoenas. One day, the senior investigator of the medical board drops by the house with 47 subpoenas. Says. I said, what are these for? And how was I singled out? And the answer was, well, you're just really out there. And so my legal team is so far dealing pretty well with this. And
I mean, you don't have any suspension on your license.
No.
I mean, your practice is still...
no. Right. It's going to be a while until there's any kind of adjudication at this elephantine gestational process called the criminal justice system, or the medical board procedures. Because I've dropped a little poison pill in our dialogue by giving them an update from the old Attorney General's list that has the 2 Deputy Attorneys General that represent the medical board as being part of those people that wanted reports about me and this other doctor. So I said, well, you're really being manipulated and abused by these county prosecutors and cops. Because they're just a bunch of soreheads that, here's a typical scenario. They have a trial for cultivation on somebody, and they lose. Next day, they file a complaint with the medical board. And yes, one case they started out with was 55-year-old severely disabled MS sclerosis victim who was made a home visit on a Sunday, taking my then 4.5-year-old daughter along with me, and did a home visit, evaluated him, wrote out the letter of recommendation and approval, and this is the case they picked out for investigation because there was a dispute between the caregiver and the conservator, and one of the caregivers then turned in the conservator for cultivating marijuana for him and his charge to use. And that brought in the county DA, and that then led to the medical board. What kind of doctor will prescribe marijuana for this kind of case? And